Ooh. Okay, this is a look. Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. So this is part of my Functional Friday series. This is the third week of it, which is happening the month of November 2020. So within this series, every Friday upload is going to be breaking down a muscle of the body, telling you the function of it, as well as functional exercises you can do to strengthen and build it. And then on Tuesdays, I'm going to be posting complete follow-along workouts for that muscle of the week. Now let's just address the elephant in the room. Yes, I'm still in my pajamas. Yes, my hair looks insane. And yes, this is a Space Cats headband that Kevin got me, and I'm actually obsessed with it. So now that that's out of the way, let's hop into the video. Today, we are going to be talking about the abdominals, or the rectus abdominis, or the abs, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're talking about today. As always, we're going to be breaking down three different things: the origin and insertion of the muscle, the function or action of the muscle, and then some functional exercises that I prefer to do to build the muscle. Let's talk about the origin and insertion. So the abs are going to originate at the crest of the pubis. I'm eternally a 12-year-old. And then it's going to insert into ribs 5 through 7. So this is a very long and lean muscle on the body. As far as the function of the abs, it's going to be in charge of flexion of the lumbar spine, as well as assist in breathing and just protecting the organs. And then jumping into some functional exercises for the abs. I'm not going to say crunches, all right? But there are a few. It's my coffee maker. Ugh. All right, we're back. Okay, so functional exercises. When we think functional, typically we think of doing a movement that we're gonna see in everyday life. That is definitely a huge part of functional training. What I wanna focus on this week is more about the angle of the movement, especially because this is such a long muscle. We can kind of target different fibers within the muscle by changing the angle that we're working at. So first exercise I'm gonna recommend is a decline sit-up. You are gonna need, in my instance, the side of your couch for this, but if you do have a real bench, then this is gonna be really handy to perform this exercise. The decline sit-up is going to really focus on the upper fibers of the abdominals, and I want you to focus on the eccentric part of the contraction, so working against gravity. So coming up and then slowly lowering yourself down. That's another great way to keep it functional, just kind of changing the tempo of the movement. Another great exercise I love is going to be a hanging leg raise. You are going to need a pull-up bar or even just some monkey bars for this, but this is going to target more of the lower fibers of the abdominals. So you're bringing your legs up, and the really important thing here is that you're actually pulling your pelvis under. And this is really important because if we're just bringing the legs up, we want to remember about what is the function of the abdominals. It's flexion of the lumbar spine. So you do actually have to flex the muscles there, make a curve. And then finally, this is actually my number one favorite for the abs. It's gonna be an active plank. So just in your forearm position, finding that flexion of the spine and then bringing it back down, really making sure that we're not just leading from the hips, keeping the spine neutral. We do wanna find that flexion of the spine here, again, to hit the abdominals. This one is definitely gonna target more of the entire region of the abdominals. So again, we're just picking 3 different exercises that are going to target 3 different parts of the muscle, which is super functional. So I'm not going to talk specifically about how to see abdominal definition in this video because that is more nutrition based. I've actually talked about that in this video right up here where I was answering your questions about the core. But I actually do have a whole video coming out, really 2 videos coming out in December that talk way more in depth about the abs. So we're gonna wait until then to talk about that. Okay, and then final thing I wanna talk about is just the difference between the core and the abs, okay? I have talked about this before in this video right up here. So essentially, when people think of the core, they typically think of abs and obliques, and that's it. And it is so much more than that. The simplest way to think about it, and it's not entirely accurate, but it does just give you a better idea of what the core is. If you were to cut off your head, your arms, and your legs, everything that remains is your core. So if you think about all of the muscles that are on the middle of your body, front and back, it's a lot more than just abs and obliques. So like I talked about in the traps functional Friday video last week, I was talking about the muscles of the back and how we have the superficial, the intermediate, and then the deep or intrinsic. We kind of have a similar thing going on with the core. It's not so much about where they sit, like how deep they are, exactly. It's more about where they attach. So I'm gonna quickly go through that just to show you that even though we're talking about the abs in this video and it is important to train them, you gotta think more broad, right? You have to think way more outside of the box because the abs do one thing. Your core does like 75 different things. And that's how we move in everyday life. We don't just, well, fortunately, we kind of do just sit around flexing our lumbar spine all day, but anyway, I've talked about how much I hate sitting in other videos. All right, so there are 3 different sections of your core. We've got the local stabilization system, which we're gonna think is the deepest. We've got the global stabilization system, which we'll kind of think of as like the intermediate layer. And then we've got the movement system, which is gonna be the most outer layer. Again, we're not really thinking layers, we're thinking attachment points, but let's dive into it. So your local stabilization system, these are the muscles that attach directly to your spine. They are gonna be in charge of your posture and stabilization of your spine. So in my opinion, I think that's the most important thing to train because if you don't have good stabilization of your spine, good luck doing anything else. So these muscles include the TVA, your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, and your internal obliques. So these are the deeper layers of your obliques. So you'll notice the abs are not in there. So in my opinion, I don't think they're the most important thing to train. All right, so then jumping out into the intermediate layer or muscles, we've got the global stabilization system. So these are the muscles that connect directly from the spine to the pelvis. They're gonna be in charge of like moving weight or loads, I guess, however you wanna put it, from upper to lower body. Okay, and these muscles are going to really kind of be in charge of like the eccentric part of a movement or like working or resisting gravity essentially. So these muscles are going to include your QL, your psoas, let's see if I can do this without looking, your QL, your psoas, it's your external obliques, your rectus abdominis, your abs, your glutes, and your adductors. Did I get all of those? Yo, I did. And then finally, we've got the movement system. So this is like the outermost layer, but again, we're not really thinking of it that way. So these are the muscles that are going to attach either from the spine or the pelvis to the extremities. And these are really going to be the muscles that are more so in charge of the concentric force production. Muscles included here are going to be the lats, the hip flexors, the quads, and the hamstring complex. So a lot of these muscles we're probably thinking like, whoa, that's part of the core? That's so random. Honestly, I attribute a lot of that to marketing and training for aesthetics rather than function. So just thinking of it this way, guys, we can't have a functional core without training all of those muscles together because the whole function of the core as a unit is to stabilize and protect the spine. And again, that is the most important thing.
You done talking to yourself?
Almost.
Can you come help me make the bed?
Yeah. Look who's here. Just in time for the outro. Whole gang's here. Can I put your legs in my YouTube video? Yes. So guys, that is it for your Functional Friday. So make sure that you come back on Tuesday to get your workout. Thank you guys again. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already so you do not miss out, and I will see you on Tuesday.